It's reopening of unity schools across the nation. Court of Appeal Abuja overturns nullification of dual-year jury selection by the Governorship Tribunal. President Muhammadu Buhari wishes United States first family quick recovery from COVID-19 infection. We start from the presidential villa, where President Muhammadu Buhari is urging member states of the United Nations to develop additional strategies towards protecting and improving the quality of life of women and girls as critical pathway to the realization of 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, as well as the Beijing Declaration and Platform of Action. This was in his virtual address to the high-level meeting on the 25th anniversary of the Fourth World Conference on Women on the emergence of 75th session of the United Nations General Assembly in New York. The Musambo's report is being put together. Whenever it's ready, we're going to bring it to you. And so the Assembly is calling for an urgent action, strong political support, and targeted investments for women, that is, to actualize the goals set 25 years ago in Beijing towards preventing the gains achieved painstakingly over the decades from Beijing, rather from being at risk. This was at the high-level meeting on the sideline of the 75th anniversary of the organization. Adewale Brooks Sunday reports.
The NGO Forum on Women open!
In 1995, women from all over the world converged on Beijing in China for the Fourth World Conference on Women. In a resolution, they agreed to promote a set of principles concerning the equality of men and women. 25 years down the lane, UN Women said sad stories and millions more are unfolding daily in the lives of girls around the world, which shows that there is still a long way to go, as 1 woman in 3 experiences the trauma of violence in her lifetime.
Even where progress is made, it may not reach the women and girls who need it most. More than 300,000 a year should not still be dying from pregnancy-related causes.
We look at Colombia, Nigeria, Pakistan, and United States, and we show the huge inequalities between different groups of women in these countries in different aspects of the SDG agenda.
Female genital mutilation, we estimate that at least 200 women and girls in 30 countries have undergone FGM.
World Conference on Women.
The high-level meeting dwelled extensively on accelerating the realization of gender equality and empowerment of all women and girls, especially as they are the worst affected by the dreaded coronavirus and other violence in the world.
When the needs of women who have been forcibly displaced are addressed, we are all safer. When women are engaged in peace processes, we are more likely to have lasting peace.
It is the only way we will implement the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development and achieve lives of dignity and opportunity for all.
The forum wants all governments in the world to know that the rights of a woman or a girl child are not negotiable, and appealed for their defense, which it said are essential for full gender equality, women's respect and empowerment. Adebola Brooksland Sunday, NTA News.
And back home, talking about education, the federal government has ordered the reopening of unity schools nationwide with effect from the 12th day of October 2020. The decision was reached after a wide range of consultations with stakeholders in the education sector and the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19. Abubakar Usman Akwanga reports.
After consultation with the Presidential Committee on COVID-19, we have decided that all our 104 unity schools should open on the 12th of October 2020. States and private owners will work out the modalities for the opening of schools under their purview.
The Minister of Education, Adamu advised schools to ensure strict compliance with COVID-19 safety protocols and other medical advisories streamlined by Nigerian Center for Disease Control. He warned that any school found wanting in abusing the set-out rules for the reopening of schools across the country will be appropriately sanctioned.
We should establish a staff-student committee for regular surveillance, monitoring and enforcement of all COVID guidelines. Let me guidelines and an outbreak occurs in the school due to negligence, they risk closure of their schools.
The minister explains that the decision does not translate to zero case of coronavirus pandemic, hence the need to report symptoms of the virus to relevant authorities to prevent spread of the disease. In Abuja, Abubakar Usman Akwanga, NTA News.
Many thanks, Abubakar. Now, preparations to establish a National Library of Nigeria in Akwa Ibom State is in top gear. Chief Executive Officer, National Library of Nigeria, Professor Lanre Aino, announced this during a courtesy visit to the State Governor in Government House, Uyo. Charity James has details.
Library Decree of 1970 provides for the National Library of Nigeria to have branches in the 36 states of the Federation to ease its functions of setting standard for library and information services. Sequel to this preparation at ensuring that a national library is established in Akwa Ibom State is already in progress with a visit by delegation of National Library of Nigeria to the states. Chief Executive Officer, National Library of Nigeria, and leader of the delegation, while holding talks with the state government, commended the state government for providing a site for the establishment of a national library in the states.
Branches in all states of the Federation. Like I told you, we already have in 27 states. 9 states are yet to have, but when we go to 9 states, 5 states have responded, including Akwa Ibom State. And in our 2021 budget, we already included Akwa Ibom State.
The Deputy Governor, who hosted the guests on behalf of the State Governor, appreciated the federal government for considering Akwa Ibom State for the establishment of the National Library, which he said was long due. He also urged them to make proper use of the land given by the state government for siting of the National Library of Standard.
Education is very important for us in our country. I'm sure you know that. And for that reason, anything educational, anything that will help us continue to promote what we are trying to do for our young people, library happens to be one of them.
The National Library of Nigeria, among other things, has the responsibility of issuing International Standard Book Number and International Standard Serial Number. In Uyo, Charity James, NTA News.
And the federal government remains focused on its plans to accelerate infrastructural development as a fundamental necessity to increase revenue generation and make life meaningful to all citizens. Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, reiterated this on NTA's Good Morning Nigeria while discussing Nigeria at 60, Motors Rising. Oluseyi Adiagbo reports.
The curtain might have fallen on the celebration of Nigeria at 60, but Nigerians are still engaged in discussions on the country's development trajectory. Across different television programs and platforms, government officials have been engaged on the impact of government programs and policies, especially on infrastructural development in the country. On Good Morning Nigeria, Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, gave insight into the expected outcomes of the recently inaugurated Itakpe-Ajaokuta, Warri Railway and other ongoing infrastructural projects across the country.
Nothing opens up a country like transportation, especially rail transportation. You can imagine the amount of, the congestion that will go on, that will leave the axis. Not to talk about the economy you are going to create along that corridor. Or do you want to go to the area of power? Hopefully, by the end of 2021, at least 7,000 megawatts of power will be reaching, the homes.
The minister also used the platform to speak on the wisdom behind the recently approved Kano-Katsina Maradi rail line.
Because we do not have the road infrastructure that would encourage Niger, for instance, to use our seaports, we believe that if we have a train service, then we're able to take over the import and export business of Niger Republic. That is the simple reason why we did so.
It was the high point of the conversation in which Lai Mohammed equally acknowledged the contributions of the founding fathers, the present leadership, as well as the resilience of Nigerians. In Abuja, Olusheye Adiagbo, NTA News.
And more people are falling into the trap set by the Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board JAMB to rid the system of malpractices that had in the past threatened the credibility of exams and admission processes. The latest is a candidate apprehended for alleged impersonation. Olainka Ojo reports.
And I'm pleading to be pardoned, and I will support them in any way to further this investigation to get every other information they want.
Seeking for forgiveness may be too late for Etim Israel as he falls into the hands of the law for alleged impersonation. He registered for JAMB examination but connived with one Emmanuel to write it for him. He ran out of luck as his crime was detected.
But because of the directive of the Honorable Minister this year, that no institution should take fresh picture or fresh biometric, rather JAMB should make the original picture of those who registered available to the institution and their fingers. That was the reason why he is caught up.
Out of the 1.9 candidates who sat for the 2020 UTME, 4,900 candidates have issues of picture mismatch, while 657 have complained of unmatching pictures.
And we asked them to apply. Now we are now asking them, come forward, tell me why you want to change your picture.
Israel was one of them, but he is turned out to be of his own making. JAMB again is using the latest arrest to caution candidates to desist from indulging in malpractices, as measures put in place will expose them. Already, Israel has been handed over to the police for further investigations and prosecution. Olainka Ojo, NTA News.
Many thanks, Olainka. President Muhammadu Buhari has congratulated Dr. Funmi Adewara, a UK-based Nigerian medical doctor, on winning World Bank Sustainable Development Goals Global 2020 Award. The president notes that by this award, she has hoisted Nigeria's flag proudly in the international arena. A statement signed by the Special Advisor to the President on Media and Publicity, Femi Adesina, says the award came in the same season that the President, in his National Day broadcast, just applauded Nigerian professionals at home and abroad, whom he said ranked among the very best in the world. Dr. Adewara is one of the 7 winners of the award globally among 2,400 women, a feat that President Buhari describes as an attestation once again of the stuff Nigerian professionals are made of. President Muhammadu Buhari has joined all citizens of the United States of America in prayers for quick and full recovery of President Donald Trump and his wife, Melania, who reportedly tested positive to COVID-19. A message signed by the Senior Special Assistant to the President, Media and Publicity, Garba Shehu, says the President notes with sympathy that the incident of COVID-19 in the White House manifests the challenge posed by the pandemic across the world and the difficulty in containing the spread. While wishing the American First Family speedy recovery, President Buhari urges more compliance among Nigerians to protocols and adherence to advice by medical doctors, particularly epidemiologists. And similarly, U.S. President Donald Trump tests positive for COVID-19 as several European countries see second wave of the virus, which could test small on the global update of the pandemic.
U.S. President Donald Trump and his wife Melania have tested positive for COVID-19. President Trump's announcement comes about a month to the presidential election which he will be contesting. Several European countries are reimposing lockdowns and other restrictions in their worst affected regions as figures show they are experiencing a second rise in the number of daily cases. Spain, which reported another 182 deaths and 9,419 infections on Thursday, is bringing in tighter restrictions on movement. In the UK, large parts of northern England are now subject to tough lockdown rules after recording 6,914 cases and 59 deaths. France recorded 70,000, a further 934 cases of COVID-19 and 1 death in the last 24 hours, although the number of hospital inpatients with the virus dropped from 70 to 65. On the African continent, Nigeria reported 59,001 total infections after recording 153 new cases and no death in the last 24 hours. The WHO coronavirus dashboard shows the African continent has successfully treated and discharged 1,240,284 COVID-19 patients from its 1,499,364 positive cases. And as at 6 p.m. Nigerian time, the world has lost 1,029,819 people to coronavirus, as presented on the Worldometer dashboard. This is from the 34,627,646 global confirmed cases tally. That does it from here. I am Uche Ugochukwu. Happy 60th Independence, Nigeria.
You're watching the news on NTA International, reaching you from Abuja, Nigeria. We'll now take a break. Stay back for more. Welcome back. Governor Abubakar Sani Bello of Niger State says unless there is urgent intervention by the federal government, the power state will be cut off completely from the rest of Nigeria due to poor state of roads infrastructure. He stated this while briefing journalists after an audience with President Muhammadu Buhari. State House correspondent Adam Sambo has details.
Governor Abubakar Sani Bello told President Muhammadu Buhari that at the moment, motoring public in Niger State are facing difficult times due to poor state of roads.
As of today, we have 2 field sessions on Mina-Bida Road and 1 field session on Mina-Tegina Road, which has brought about a complete blockage of that road. There are lots of issues involved that needs to be addressed, and I hope we'll look into it as a government immediately. Every cargo from southwest passes through Niger, through Mina specifically. At the moment, we're going through hell in Niger State, so I believe something will be done.
President Buhari and the Niger State Governor also discussed the devastating effect of the recent flooding that affected 21 out of the 25 local government areas of the state and what needs to be done in aid of the victims.
At the moment, we have over 150 communities underwater in Niger State. Thousands of hectares of land have been displaced by floods, and major investments like the Sunti Sugar is completely underwater. They've lost over 2,500 hectares of sugarcane plantation, and the vast majority of the facility itself is underwater. Livestock as well have been lost.
Governor Sani Bello thanked President Buhari for his intervention as regards the issue of insecurity in Niger State.
In the last few weeks, there has been a lot of, there have been serious onslaught by our security agencies in the forest. The Air Force has been patrolling, and they've made a lot of sorties in Niger State. At the same time, the Nigerian police and Nigerian Army have also conducted a lot of search and cordon exercises within the state. I believe that if we maintain the tempo, hopefully we'll see some great improvements when it comes to security.
On the COVID-19 pandemic, the governor reported significant drop in the rate of infection and expressed the belief that the health challenge will soon be controlled and contained. From the State House, Adamu Sambo, NTA News.
In the House of Representatives Committee on Power says Federal government's investment in power sector is to ensure improved service delivery. While an oversight visit to Kainji hydropower plant in Niger State, the committee emphasized that stakeholders in the sector will strive to meet demands of Nigerians. Chairman of the committee, Representative Magajidao Aliyu, reiterated that the National Assembly, in acknowledging the role of electricity as a major driver of the economy, is initiating reforms towards efficiency in the sector.
We are there to add value, to ensure things are done differently in this country. The Ninth Assembly has a blueprint, is to move this country forward.
The delegation, while in Kainji, paid a courtesy call on the royal father, the Itoro of Borgu, Haliru Mohammed, and asked him to mobilize his subjects to ensure protection of power facilities in his domain. The armed forces of Nigeria have arrested a total of 869 criminal elements and rescued 321 kidnapped victims across the country. The coordinator, Defense Media Operations Major General John Inenchi, who disclosed this during a periodic news conference, says the feat was recorded between 1st of July and the 30th of September 2020. Defense correspondent Ismail Musa tells us more.
The criminals. Details of the operations indicate 91 kidnapped victims were rescued and 312 bandits killed in combat in the northwest. In the northeast, troops of Operation Lafia Dole eliminated 450 terrorists and rescued 66 kidnapped victims. Similarly, 107 bandits and militias were neutralized in the north central by troops of Operation Safe Haven, Wild Stroke and Thunderstrike. In the same vein, troops of Operation Delta Safe have upscaled the fight against economic sabotage in the South-South.
A cumulative total of 8,890,200 liters of automotive gas oil and 33,500 liters of double-purpose kerosene were impounded by the troops of Operation Delta Safe. In the same vein, the gallant troops immobilized a total of 70 illegal refining sites, 66 dugout pits, 134 mercenary tanks within the period.
During the period under review, 18 kidnapped victims were liberated, 46 pirates apprehended, while 18 illegal refining sites were destroyed. In Abuja, Ismail Musa, NTA News.
And now to the judiciary. The Court of Appeal Abuja Division has overturned the nullification of Duoye Duri's selection as Bayelsa governor by a governorship tribunal. This was the unanimous decision of the 5-man panel of justices who presided over the appeals filed by the governor, PDP, and INEC. Austin Anyibe reports.
In a unanimous judgment, the 5-man panel of the Court of Appeal said the Advanced Nigeria Democratic Party failed woefully to prove that it had a valid candidate that was unlawfully excluded by the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC. The court held that the Governorship Election Petition Tribunal in Bayelsa State ignored the fact that the petition of the ANDP was status barred, in addition to the fact that the party presented an unqualified candidate to the Independent National Electoral Commission in the November 16, 2019 governorship election, and consequently affirmed the victory of Doeduri as the duly elected governor of the state.
This judgment has restored hope in our electoral process and in our growing democracy.
The man who said he was excluded was not unlawfully excluded because he was not qualified to have contested the election in the first instance. We are going to look into the appeal against the judgment.
It will be recalled that a 3-man panel of the tribunal had dismissed in August 2020 the election of Governor Doediri and ordered INEC to conduct a fresh election within 90 days for excluding the Advanced Nigeria Democratic Party, ANDP, from participating in the November poll. In Abuja, Austin Anyebe, NTA News.
And our sports all is now set for the group stage of the 2020-2021 UEFA Europa League. His teams now know their foes after Friday's draw. Tamara Ibiwe has more on Sports Update.
Sports legends in Nigeria have continued to demand a total revamping of the way the sports sector is run. Speaking on Nigerian sports since independence, former Super Eagles coach Christian Chukwu and CAF Champions League winning coach Oke Emodi both agree that upgrading sports facilities and standard of competitions alongside the rebirth of school sports are crucial to the development of sports in Nigeria.
I should advocate if the governments can gradually release the teams to the public so that the public will own the club and that will bring back the crowd.
There's no school sports now. No school in this country has arena for training. You can imagine that. So that's part of the problem we're encountering.
Meanwhile, Chelsea will be getting a 6th consecutive win against Crystal Palace in the Premier League when both teams lock ons at Stamford Bridge in a match day 4 fixture, which will be live on NTA this Saturday. Staying with football, 2019 runners-up Arsenal have been drawn against Rapid Vienna, Molde and Dundalk in Group B of the Europa League. Tottenham will face Ludogorets, Lask and Royal Antwerp in Group I, with Leicester City, AEK Athens, Braga and Zoya Luhansk in Group G, with Victor Osimhen's Napoli facing Real Sociedad, AZ Alkmaar and Rijeka in Group F. In tennis, US Open champion Dominic Thiem is through to the 4th round of the French Open following a hard-fought 6-4, 6-3, 6-1 win over 28th-seed Casper Ruud. In the women's draw, 2019 Wimbledon champion Simona Halep beat Amanda Anisimova 6-love, 6-1 in 54 minutes to progress. Tamara Ebiwe, NTA News.
And up next is the weather. And that does it on the news on NTA International. Thank you so much for watching. But don't forget to be the star you're supposed to be. Connect with NTA and stand against rape and rapists. I'm Yusuf Nadabu Usman. Bye-bye.
This is NTA International.
In the midst of the coronavirus pandemic,
At independence in 1960, Nigeria had a population of 45.1 million people, with a total budget of £3 million. The country's economy was very promising. Many saw Nigeria, with 15% of Africa's population, as an emerging economy. Today, the current population of Nigeria is about 220 million people, based on Worldometer elaboration of the latest United Nations data. Nigerian population is equivalent to 2.64% of the total world population. Electricity is an essential tool for modern life. Nigeria electricity generation started in 1896, and the first electric utility company, Nigerian Electricity Supply Company, was established in 1929. As part of the evolution in the power industry in Nigeria, the federal government, by Decree No. 24 of 1972, created the National Electric Power Authority, NEPA, following the merger of the Electricity Corporation of Nigeria, ECN, and Niger Dams Authority, NDA. The electricity sector in Nigeria generates, transmits, and distributes megawatts of electric power that is significantly less than what is needed to meet basic household and industrial needs.
We've also done a lot of investment in transmission. We've done a lot in transmission substations, whether it is at 330 kV, 132 kV, 233 kV.
And the reason was quite clear. As Nigeria was, the population of the country was improving or increasing, as Nigeria was becoming more industrialized, the rate of expansion of electricity facilities in terms of generation, in terms of transmission, was not commensurate with the increases in the demand. The mistake that was made at the time was that we were not planning well ahead.
National Integrated Power Projects, NIPP, is an integral part of